for the next foreseeable weeks, still at the University of Washington. We've had a lot of changes in our teaching organization. And have been working with the K-20 initiative now for what, 7 years? I mean, or 7 years?
Six.
So this is the second member meeting where we've tried a new format. We used to have a closed K-20 meeting all day on the Monday of the conference, and we switched to a format where we invite the internet to the community in the morning, and then we have our business meeting in the afternoon. So, but I am curious to see who's here, and if you are actually part of, serve on the advisory committee for the K-20 initiative. And I thought maybe just real quickly, you all have, I'm sure, lengthy CVs, but just mention your name and what organization you're with, and if you participated in the K-20 initiative, at least how long you've been engaged, so we have a sense of who's here. So maybe we'll start with you, Gary.
I'm sorry, I'm setting up to record what you're saying.
I'll start.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll start for Gary. We're together. We're with the Fayetteville, Arkansas Public School District, K-12 district, and we're here in partnership with the University of Arkansas.
John Monahan with the University of Alaska. We've been about a year.
I'm Denise Atkinson, Short, Colorado, representing Centennial BOCES, and we hope to be live in July.
I'm Jeff Custer from SEGP, Colorado. Not connectivity.
I'm Ann Zimmerman with Ornet, and we're also part of the Ohio Computer Center, and our K-12 board just got in July.
Sandor, here with Ann Zimmerman. We're going to be presenting, hopefully, an application for everyone in K-12 to consider K-12, K-20.
Carolyn Evans from Scenic in California. We've been engaged with this initiative since the beginning.
Hi, I'm Heather Weiswald. I'm the applications coordinator for MAGPI at the University of Wisconsin, and MAGPI has been involved in the K-20 issues since its inception.
I'm Susan Lancaster from Kentucky, and I'm an applications coordinator since July of this year.
I'm Carol Willis, T10, which is the K-12 arm of the Learning Network in Texas.
And I'm Jerry Molly. I work with Carol, and I'm responsible for pushing content over our statewide network and learn more about Internet 2 applications.
I'm Eric Nicholas. I'm born in University of Missouri. We've been doing this for at least the past couple of years.
Larry Bernal, Texas A&M, along with Ron Hutchins and some others. I helped strong arm Doug Van Halen in creating SEGP, which is the precursor to this group.
Tim O with MCNC in North Carolina.
James Worley, working with Lewis on helping facilitate the K-20 initiative.
Dan Gross from Wisconsin. This is my 5th year, and I'm still wearing Andrea's shoes, who was here with Lewis in the beginning. So,
I'm Randy Stout. I'm from Kansas. We've been involved with the K-20 initiative, I think, since early on. I've been active with the group for 4 or 5 years, and I work with the SEGP in Kansas. We're a funded partnership between Kansas Research and Education Network and a broadband network that forms a backbone across the state called CANED and operated by the Kansas Board of Regents.
I'm Tim Boundy. I'm from Janet's, UK. Been working with James and Jennifer on collaboration tools for the cultural and school sector in the UK. James' project.
Rob Rockford,
with the Exploratorium in San Francisco, a web developer, and representative of science and art.
Good morning. My name is David Coma, and I'm from Orano, which is the research and education network based in Ontario, Canada. And I'm going to be presenting in about an hour and giving you an update on sort of what's going on there.
I'm Morten Dahl. I'm from UNET, the Norwegian Research and Education.
My name is Richard Carver. I work with school districts in the southern tier of New York State.
I'm Racharan Khanna, Director of Research Computing at RIT in Rochester, New York, and I work a bit on high-performance infrastructures for collaboration technologies, so I'm just looking for opportunities at this point.
I'm Pat Syme from the University of Delaware. I work with K-12 schools in Delaware.
I'm Elwood Downey from Merit Network. We run the Research and Education Network in Michigan, and Merit has been involved since the beginning, on and off, with representation on the advisory council.
Myron Lowe, University of Minnesota, from the Northern Lights Gigapop. We coordinate the overall K-20 effort, K-12, and colleges, and I've been involved since the first meeting.
Voice isn't carried very well. I'm Catherine McKinsey. I'm with the California Community College Chancellor's Office, and I'm on the State Board of Directors, which is our statewide network. But more recently, I've been chair of the K-20 California Educational Technology Collaborative that started about a year ago.
I'm Marshall Chambers. I'm from Barrow County Schools, which is a small K-12 system outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been involved too.
Howdy, I'm Scott Morey, here representing Interlochen Center for the Arts. We're not a member of this initiative at this point, but we're here to learn more about what you guys are doing and how we can possibly collaborate.
Oh, once you show up at these meetings, you're
Cool. I like that kind of club.
Guilty by association.
Non-profit.
I'm Ruth Blankenbaker, and I showed up in Mount about 6 years ago, originally through the Indiana Higher Education Telecommunications System, which is IMAS. I'm with the Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration, but we work in Indianapolis, but we're going.
I'm Kim Owen with North State University, previously K-12, now K-20. I'm Heather Wells. I'm from Tiger, Minnesota. Been involved since February. And I'll let Marvin do it.
Hi, I'm Marla Davenport from TIES, Learning and Technology Director. We've been involved with Internet 2 for about 6 years now through the University of Minnesota as part of the SEGP, getting all of our K-12 schools involved in Internet 2.
Monica Pickett, and I'm also with the Center for Interactive Learning and Others.
I'm Elise Jaworski, and I'm Human Resources for Internet 2, and I've been involved with teaching and learning in K-20 for about 4 years, just scribing and taking notes for them and learning.
I am Marshall Fireman, and from the Brazilian National Research and Educational Network. And my group is new technologies and applications, and I'm here to learn more about the integration between education and technology.
Hi, I'm Steve Paul, straight Midwest. That means I can do speech. I'm the outgoing chairman of the Governance and Nominating Committee. It's not why I'm here. I'm the Education Committee of the Gloucester Schooner Adventure. Our vision is that if Jason can do it underwater, we can do it onboard. We're restoring an old Gloucester fishing boat. It's a sailboat. Has a record catch of codfish in Cape Cod Bay. And our education mission is to keep the cod in Cape Cod Bay. We're trying to figure out how to wire this old boat. It's fascinating.
You need to speak to me. We've done that in Milwaukee. We did that in Sullivan. And we'll have to ship the short one.
Yes, we really enjoyed hearing about this about 2 years ago here.
Super. I look forward to talking to you.
So, first of all, I wanted to welcome old friends and also welcome new friends. When we started this, we started by connecting, for those of you who haven't been participating in devices, by connecting whole state networks, so K-12 schools, community college, baccalaureate institutions, 27, but it sounds like in Colorado we'll be back up to, fingers crossed, back up to 38 states. And over the last couple of years, I think we've seen a lot of momentum, particularly in the Museum and Science Center community. And in the last year, increasing activity with international colleagues. I was just in East Africa before I came to New Orleans with some nascent East African R&D networks. And there's tremendous interest in Tanzania and Kenya, Uganda, and so on. Not just in connecting the research community, but looking at a broader educational spectrum as well as healthcare. So we may have a whole set of new colleagues in the coming years from Sub-Saharan Africa as well joining these activities. So again,
I just received a message that we need to use the microphones because the endpoints are not able to hear the speaking. Sorry.
Jennifer, is it any better since I plugged in that room mic? Okay, good.
Is this microphone?
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we have there are a couple of things that should have been on your table. One is the agenda for today. We have a number of distinguished folks who are joining us to talk about programs that they're involved in and maybe engage us in a conversation about how the broader community might participate. And then the other thing on your table is a document entitled Teaching and Learning K-20 Sessions of Interest. Thanks to Jennifer for putting this together. But this document highlights a number of related sessions that will occur throughout the fall member meetings. So you should have these two things on your table. If you don't, just let us know and we'll find it for you. So, and then at some point I'll pass around a sheet so you can sign on and give us your email. As I said, you're now officially members, and you know, we'll be on my holiday card list. So anyway, I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Oxenberg to introduce our next session. Jennifer's been a stalwart participant in the K-20 initiative, and has and even when she can't come here, as you can see, she still participates. And I don't know, some of you who are on the list saw a note from her last evening, in fact, that and I'll let her talk a little bit more about that. That her situation is changing a little bit, and she won't be quite as active as she was before. But she's delusional and she thinks she can get away entirely. So with that, Jennifer. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Louis. And I definitely, I don't plan to get away entirely. So you can rest assured that you can't get rid of me that quickly. But hi, everyone. Good morning. And I sure wish that I was joining you there in person in New Orleans for this session. I'm excited to see so many new faces in the room too. So even though we've had a little bit of audio difficulty this morning, I've been able to see the folks getting settled in the room, and it's great to see not only how many of you there are, but also some familiar and some new faces. So as Louis said, I've had a little change in my life, namely a daughter. So 6 months into it, I realized that trying to work full time and have a baby is a tough thing to do. So I'll be taking on a different kind of a role moving forward as a consultant for Magpie, which for those of you who might not be familiar with us, Magpie is a regional high-speed network located here at the University of Pennsylvania. You have Heather Weiss, who I now can see in the room there from Magpie on site. And we are the Internet 2 provider here, as I said, in the University of Pennsylvania for Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And we also have a new partnership with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So I'm excited to talk to you about that a little bit this morning. And then mostly to just open up the floor to my dear friend and colleague, Susan Lancaster, who's in the room there somewhere with you all. So why don't I go ahead and jump over to slides and make sure that you can see these. So give me just 1 second.
Good morning. I'm Susan Lancaster, and I'm from Kentucky. And Jennifer and I are co-presenting. You tell me if you can hear me.
Now we're going to stick a microphone in your hand anyway.
Okay. I'm so excited. And will you advance the slides for us?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Jennifer, I've actually also got the slides here locally if you'd like to do it that way too.
That's perfect. I think that's better for your on-site.
Okay, yeah, then we can see you as well.
Right.
Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning, Susan. There you are.
Yes, I'm here. Can you all hear now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? We're going to do this as a tag team, right?
Right.
Good.
And I'll follow your lead since you're on site, Susan, but great to see you and take it away.
Thank you. I've given you a couple of handouts at the table, not nearly enough because I didn't realize how many wonderful people would be in the room this morning. And unfortunately, in my over-anxiousness, I printed these before I left home. So it doesn't have all of our slides, but it does have my contact information. And if you contact me, I'll give you Jennifer's contact information should you need that. Now, let me just check and see. Can you all hear us both? Can you hear okay? Okay. Well, as a way of introduction, let me just let you know again that I am from Kentucky. I've been on my current assignment for about 3 months, 2 weeks, 1 day. And I've had the good pleasure of meeting some of you virtually because Magpie has been wonderful in our memorandum of understanding between Magpie and the state of Kentucky. And Jennifer had asked if we would just present a little overview of what life on I2 looks like in Kentucky. So I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, if you'll be patient with us, because some of the questions that you may want to ask me, Jennifer would be better able to answer those. So I'm going to refer all questions to Jennifer. How's that sound? Good, excellent. Okay. So we're going to begin. The introductory slide was up there, so you can see you've met Jennifer. Most of you know Jennifer. How many of you already knew Jennifer before the meeting this morning? Excellent. So does everybody want to say a rousing good morning, Jennifer?
Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
There you go. And Jennifer, what I did is I went ahead and put your slides as the first batch. So if you want to, can you see this? Are you able to see the slides as well?
Yeah.
No, I just see a big white screen, but you know what, Susan, that's fine. We'll make it work. And that's great. Should I just start with the first slide then from my batch?
Sure, that would be fine.
Okay, thanks, Susan. So, okay, great. So you've actually got the text up there now. Perfect. Now I can see you, Susan, and the slides, which is wonderful. And Susan, you jumped up too quickly for me because I wanted to give you this overwhelmingly glorious introduction to the crowd there, but you did a great job yourself. And I really just have had such a pleasure meeting you and having you on site here in Philadelphia recently. For folks in the audience, we were lucky enough to have Susan finally on site, not just in video conference, which was wonderful. And together, Magpie and Kentucky are really doing something that's a little bit new and different. So by way of introducing that partnership, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we at Magpie do for applications-only support. We started out, as I said in my intro, that we connected the 3 states, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, and eastern Pennsylvania mostly at that. Our original model, for those of you in the room who are either from state networks or RONs in your areas, you realize we provided the connectivity, but also application support. Well, we started to offer something called applications-only support, which basically decoupled the connectivity from the application support so that folks coming in through other connectors, and namely in our state, in Pennsylvania here, we have 2 connectors in Western PA at Free Rock and also in East here at Magpie. So we had folks coming in through our good colleagues in the network there in Western Pennsylvania who were getting their connectivity there but wanted some additional application support. And especially for the K-20 community. And obviously most of you in the room there are the K-20 community, so you know who these folks are. And what we did was provide application-only support to districts or intermediate units, which are regional education service agencies in Pennsylvania, coming in, as I said, through the West. So that was the beginning of the model. And then what we did was essentially working with Kentucky through some discussions between Greg Palmer and Miko Patty, who many of you in the room there know, started to think about a statewide applications-only support model. Obviously, providing connectivity and infrastructure to Kentucky would not be very realistic or cost-effective or anything that we want to do at this point, but being able to work with the good folks in Kentucky who are already providing their own statewide network through KRON and the other infrastructure there, we're able to work jointly to provide this applications-only support model. And we have new models coming out which would be available for nonprofit and cultural communities, kind of building on the success of what we've started in scaling this. So next slide, please, Susan, if you're doing it, or James, if you're forwarding them.
There you go.
Our particular brand of this agreement with Kentucky, as Susan said, it's nothing terribly formal. We have a memorandum of understanding between the two parties about what it is expectation-wise that we have moving forward. And it's an 18-month agreement. And really the ultimate goal is just to build a robust Kentucky Internet to P20 initiative and provide some value to both the community in Kentucky and then also to Magpie for additional partnerships and collaboration. And obviously that would benefit you all in the room there as well. Next slide, please, James. So just to talk a little bit about roles and responsibilities real quickly and let Susan take the floor. We offered as part of our agreement some training, both on-site and virtual. We opened access to all of our Magpie-sponsored programs, and some of you in the room there may be familiar with them. Mostly they are for our members in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. But with this agreement, we opened it up to the Kentucky schools. We also have agreement to coordinate and support Internet to awareness events and outreach and assist with marketing, et cetera, and support research and international participation. And then finally, just to consult on a statewide basis toward the development of original Kentucky programming, and Susan's going to get much more into that. So next slide, just to quickly wrap up for my part here. We're really excited about this partnership because we think it's a great way to expand content and collaboration opportunities. We think that having additional application specialists is always a good thing, and having Susan on the ground there in Kentucky is just wonderful. And finally, to tap into the local content provider communities, which of course increases the value of the networks to regional and national K-20 communities. And basically, that's it for me by way of an introduction. And now I'd like to just have Susan take over. And Susan, if you could tell folks about all the good things going on there in Kentucky that you've been masterminding for the past few months. So,
thank you. God bless you. I want to also thank Jennifer and Greg and Heather Walsh, everybody's changing roles and identities here, for being so supportive of Kentucky and this initiative. I don't know how many of you are former teachers. Could you show me how many of you are current or former teachers? Okay. If you remember the old Duquesne slide projectors, I may go beep to let James know when it's time to move on. My background, just as an FYI, 30 years teaching public school. The last 5 years I was involved in technology integration. Retired when it was possible in Kentucky. We have a wonderful retirement system if you want to come to Kentucky. Lewis said he was you're looking for a job? No. Worked for the Kentucky Department of Ed for a while in technology, was finishing my doctorate. When my kids left home, it was what every mother wants to do, right? Is finish your doctorate, so that's what I did. And I taught for 6 years at a university. I don't know how many of you have taught at a university, but teaching the same course over and over again. So I decided at this point in my life I was ready for a change, applied for a job, had no idea what I was getting into, and here I am. But I'm delighted because I totally believe that that integration should be about how it affects the content of what the students are learning and less about the technology. So what we're doing in Kentucky does involve Internet too, but other people have been responsible for making that happen, not me. And so I'm here just to present an overview. I would, again, be happy to answer any questions as we go through or at the end, and Jennifer and Heather and I will probably work through your questions together. So beep. The Kentucky network is a part of the Internet 2 picture. And I am aware that you're all aware of this picture. Okay, we have 2 points of entrance, one at the University of Kentucky, one at the University of Louisville. I think Internet 2 is a great unifier. We don't worry about which basketball team or football team is playing on those days. We're just glad to be able to have access for our state network. Okay, so this is what the Kentucky Post-Secondary Education Network looks like. And this is the location of different points within our state. One of the things that we did in Kentucky many years ago was CARA, Kentucky Education Reform Act. Anybody ever heard of that? The state legislature mandated in about, excuse me, 1990 or so, that every K-12 school would have internet, every public school would have internet access. There would be a teacher workstation in every room. There would be internet connectivity. Teachers would have email. They would have access to the internet. Students would have access to the internet. And there would be a ratio of 1 computer for every 6 students in every public school. Now we want to make sure that all of those schools can get onto the Internet 2 network as seamlessly as possible. And so this is the collaboration that formed the Kentucky Regional Optical Network. And that is how we have brought all of the playing partners to the table in Kentucky. So we have the K-12 initiative on the left, the post-secondary on the right, which feeds together to form KRON, which is the Kentucky Regional Optical Network. And that's the, if you will, the coordination of a lot of interesting players, as I imagine you all have in your states. Would you agree that you have interesting players in your state? Okay, good. Beep. Thanks. So I came in July and I started learning about pipes and clouds and networks and we're drawing schematics. And so the picture you're looking at now is the visual representation of how the AT&T partner works with the Windstream partner to provide bigger pipes, to create clouds, to make sure that the K-12 environment can go through the bridge at the sites where the network comes into the state. You guys all are good with that? Aren't going to ask me any more technical questions, I hope, and we're going to go big. So these are our post-secondary members. So within the state of Kentucky, we have several public universities, and we also have a very large collaborative of the Kentucky Community and Technical College System, so that there are sites throughout the state which represent the secondary environment as well as the collaboration with the P12, K-12 environment. Now, some of the initiatives that were in the works before I arrived include Southern Skies. If you've heard of Southern Skies, would you raise your hand? Okay, this is a program that the University of Louisville, Dean's Planetarium and Science Center has worked with Queensland, Australia. It includes remote instrumentation so that students in Kentucky classes, and we're hoping that as we're able to offer this magpie programming, students throughout the United States, or as we collaborate with CILC, or as we collaborate, and you're welcome to join the Kentucky Regional Presence on Muse if you'd like to learn more about this. That was my little thank you to Heather and to Jennifer for helping set up Kentucky's Presence on Muse. But Southern Skies is an initiative that we hope is a program that we'll be able to offer throughout the United States to allow people in our hemisphere to see what the southern skies look like, what the nighttime skies in Australia look like. A little bit more about it. If you want more information, I'm happy to provide the link. We're not yet ready to offer this as programming, although I have a meeting on Friday when I get home with the Science Center to find out how we're going to be able to offer this to everybody. Another one of the initiatives that's being offered at the post-secondary level is Big Blue. Big Blue is an initiative through the engineering students at the University of Kentucky using Internet 2 for quasi-space exploration. And they've had a different theme to their projects. I believe they're entering year 6 this year. Again, I'm happy to provide more information on this. We're not quite ready to offer programming for Big Blue throughout the United States and beyond just yet, but we're working to get their programming in a way that we can offer it multiple times in multiple ways. And we'll go on from here. Thank you. But what we are prepared to offer you, drum roll please, is a little bit of buzz and excitement about the 2010 World Equestrian Games, which are coming to the Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington, Kentucky. Now, what's unique about this is this will be the first time that the Equestrian Games will be held outside of Europe. So, 8 different events, and I'd be happy to articulate all 8 of them for you, but you don't want me to right now. What we're going to do is hopefully offer virtual programming. And we think that this will be interesting outside of Kentucky and throughout the world because the events deal with the equine industry. And the more we're learning, the more that we're finding out that learning more about horses is just as interesting in Texas and Colorado as it would be in Kentucky, and probably a lot of other states. So what we're in the planning stage right now to develop what type of virtual events we want to offer. But we're pretty clear right now that careers in the equine industry is something that would be interesting, with programs aimed specifically at elementary, programs aimed specifically for middle, programs that will look different aimed for high school and universities. How many of you think that in your environments, and I didn't mean to skip any states, but how many of you think students in your state would be interested in learning more about the horse industry? Okay, so we will have these programs available. The 2010 Games coming to Kentucky we view as a really big deal. How many of you are golfers? Anybody golfers? What was the huge event that was held in Kentucky? Not the Kentucky Derby, that's correct. But what was the huge event that was held in Kentucky this September? The Ryder Cup. Okay, well, we're approaching this one a little bit differently. The World Equestrian Games we're taking an academic approach to, and a little bit different than the Ryder Cup. We also are having the Breeders' Cup in 2010. So if you want to come to Kentucky, now I'll connect you with the Tourist Bureau later. Don't try to be cute is what I'm getting the message. Okay. Again, if you're interested in more information about this as it develops, we will be putting this on our news site. We will be putting this information available to you. And I'm happy to provide my contact information if you didn't get one of the handouts. We're also working with other content partners. We're working with the Louisville Zoo, which was very active in video conferencing in the previous iteration of what video conferencing looked like in the state of Kentucky. The Kentucky Center for School Safety has earned a national and international reputation for quality programs. We're looking at how do you help prepare first responders, how do you help students through crisis situations, even so far as bus safety. And they have content already developed, and we built a partnership, so they're going to start being able to offer their content using our Internet 2 programming arena. And as I mentioned, yes, 5 minutes? Oh, wait. So this is more information than you want to read, but if you just needed a nice little blurb, what does Internet 2 mean to education in Kentucky? I'm happy to provide you with this text, which I know you can't very easily read from the screen. And beep. My information, I'm happy to provide that as well, and let's leave a couple of minutes for Q&A. I think that's it. Questions for Jennifer, or for Heather, or for me? Yes, sir.
Talk about a few of the details of the collaboration with the zoo.
Right now, what I can tell you is they also have content that they've developed. For many years, they had a partnership with Eastern Kentucky, realizing that the children in Eastern Kentucky weren't going to be able to travel the several hundred miles to Louisville to see the zoo. And what we're doing now is we're working through the conversion of the content that they had previously been using so that they can still connect with Eastern Kentucky. The Louisville Zoo is the state zoo of the state of Kentucky. And while I can't give you the specifics, I know that their programming is very rich and allows kids to see and deal with animals without physically being able to touch them.
I'm curious on building on that question. How are you doing that? Is it all through video conferencing, or are you using other types of electronic outreach as well?
It's going to be using live interactive video conferencing is our hope right now. What we don't want, obviously, is we don't want something that teachers could go to United Streaming and pick up that video. The same, it's a series of videos that are available to teachers. We're talking about using Elmo or the document camera to get a close-in picture. We're talking about having question and answer. But more than anything, we're making sure that the content that we're offering meets and matches the state standards. So for example, in the 4th grade, students will study these aspects of animals. That may or may not get your question, Dan, I'm not sure.
No, it's okay.
Other questions? Questions for Heather, questions for Jennifer. Jennifer, what would you like to add?
I think you covered it all, and hopefully folks in the room there are getting a sense of all the exciting content that you and your colleagues there in Kentucky are really working on. I know we at Magpie are thrilled at what's coming down the pike from Kentucky between the equestrian games and the other partnerships that you've developed, so hopefully they're getting that excitement as well. I can't see their faces, but I guess, folks, thanks for having us on this morning, and I'll be joining and sort of staying muted for most of the rest of the morning until our next session with the Science Center folks. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I really do want to thank the people from Magpie, Heather and Greg and Jennifer. It's just been wonderful to have somebody nurture you as you begin, and you just have no idea how grateful I am for their help. Thank you.
Thank you both
Thanks
very
so
much. So this last session, we had an opportunity to see what I think is a really exciting partnership